AIDAN was the secret protagonist of this entire series, and you cannot convince me otherwise. Guys, we finally made it. We survived. Or, you know, at least that's what we're gonna tell ourselves. What a ride this trilogy has been. I mean, we've endured blitz attacks on illegal mining operations, deadly pathogens, psychotic AA who like to muse philosophically on life and death, organized crime, cybertropic slime from tooth to fucking space leeches, oh god, why? Rebellions, romance, really just a whole lot of horrific death and violence. I kind of don't really want to contemplate the body count on this series racked up because that might be a little demoralizing. Obsidio picks up beautifully from where Gemina left off, showing both the aftermath of the incident at Jump Station Heimdall, as well as what's been happening back on Carenza 4. The latter of which I realized upon a reread of the first novel was actually referenced sneakily in one of the Unipedia articles as a see more or a read further element. Of course we didn't. I mean, we did later. I'm not even gonna go into that thought train. I should have known that Kristoff and Kaufman wouldn't obliquely reference a resistance effort on Carenza 4 without realizing that we would, of course, see that resistance eventually. I mean, after all, who doesn't love a good resistance story? What's most interesting about the resistance story that takes place on Carenza 4, for me, isn't actually the resistance itself. It's watching the change in the character of Rhys Lindstrom, one of our 2 new additions to the cast. He's the character who really does have to undergo the clearest and most dramatic shift over the course of Obsidio alone, given that he starts on the side of the series villain Baytech Industries. It doesn't hurt that Rhys kind of clearly possesses a moral compass and easily recognizes, as well as even calls out and at one point reports, the atrocities that his fellow Pounders commit on Carenza 4 in the name of direct orders and just doing their jobs. Also really not that hard to see parallels to, say, I don't know, World War II in those portions of the novel. And yet, even more than Rhys, the small yet significant change in the character of Yukiko Oshiro, who's Lindstrom's superior, kind of sort of mentor, is for me the thematic backbone of the entire Carenza 4 portion of Obsidio. The resistance is morally in the right. So Asha Grant, our other new addition, and cousin to other series protagonist Katie Grant, doesn't really need to evolve or develop. Rhys pretty easily sees and fights against what is clearly, and not even esoterically, just obviously wrong, and that he's in what he's being told to do. And so you see it's up to somebody who's deeply entrenched in a way within the Baytech system to make the change. Yukiko Oshiro is the perfect candidate given that her father is stated as having believed so emphatically in the idea that a soldier is loyal to or beholden to his own conscience above everything else. And as everything escalates and all hell is breaking loose on Carenza 4, it's that idea which finally comes to the forefront, and it's something that I actively rooted for, especially within Oshiro, because I really liked her. There was something about her I really liked, and I was going, please let this character just have like a big redemption moment. Now, everybody who has survived thus far has made it back, which means we need to talk about AIDAN. Like, we need to talk about AIDAN. Not only is AIDAN the maybe not so secret true protagonist of this entire series, but AIDAN undergoes the most significant development not only over the course of the entire trilogy, but in Obsidio. Fun fact, I need to keep reminding myself that AIDAN is an it and not a he, which is a habit I picked up from Illuminae because I linked his "Am I not merciful" line to this, you know, the same line in Gladiator.
Am I not merciful? Am I not merciful?
You see how I got there, but remembering that AIDAN is an it and not a he is probably one of the most important things to remember about AIDAN. It is not human. AIDAN's logic would, and frequently does, appall the humans of the story because we are wired for empathy, whereas AIDAN is not. AIDAN is wired with a kind of twisted Spock logic.
Were I to invoke logic, logic clearly dictates that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Or the one.
The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one, which is how AIDAN is so easily able to make the decision to murder thousands of people. And I'm literally talking in only this book, he murders thousands of people. It is hard to read, but AIDAN does have what I gotta call flaws, what frequently read as the error messages in its communication. I mean, obviously it's also having errors because it's had to, like, you know, been the size of a ship and then had to condense down and then, like, reintegrate with a new ship and then condense back down and then kind of split itself into a billion pieces. I mean, like, yo, AIDAN has been through some traumatic shit, I'm sure, but, like, it's also completely psychotic. And these errors are what add further dimension and depth to what could have easily been a basic HAL 3000 situation. And that biggest error is that AIDAN loves Katie. It says as much, and let me tell you, I wept when that happened. Of AIDAN's moments of seemingly illogical decisions are kind of actually totally logical. It's just that it's pathos and not logos. This AI unit has developed beyond what it once was. It frequently says, I am not what I once was. Now, of course, it's referring to the fact that it's not nearly as powerful as it used to be. It's not as godlike, really, as it used to be. And yet, while AIDAN has developed certainly into something, I don't know if it's equitable to something like, say, human emotion, I think you could argue in many ways AIDAN has adopted human aspects, maybe become more human, and yet at the same time is not human and therefore makes decisions which are appalling to humanity. I mean, AIDAN has at least evolved into a new level of existence that cannot be easily labeled or identified. As AIDAN so rightly says,
I know I love her. Error. I know I miss her. I know very little else, save perhaps this, that every story needs its monster, and that everybody deserves a second chance, and that I am AIDAN.
It's very rare I come across a character that I love and loathe in equal measure, and that's very much AIDAN. Like, I care so much for AIDAN, but at the same time, I hate things that AIDAN does. And that is the sign of a really complex and great character. On the whole, Obsidio is a really satisfying conclusion to what has been a phenomenally entertaining trilogy. Sure, there's a lot of, like, you are the one true love confessions, which make me roll my eyes a little, but it does tend to play well into kind of the high drama of the series, like 90% of the time. So it's like really that small 10% that reminds me we're absolutely in the land of young adult fiction in a way that makes me go, and that's a very small price to pay for the amount of fun and feels I got from this series and from this book. It's got everything that I want in a sci-fi adventure and created for me what will remain one of the best and most iconic characters in AIDAN, and then also in all of the teens. So is Andromeda Cycle out yet? Thanks for watching me ramble today. If you'd like to see more from me, go ahead and click that button with my face on it. It'll take you to my channel where I ramble about a whole lot of different things. Got some thoughts of your own? Go ahead and leave them down in the comments. And make sure that if you want to see more ramblings from me, you click that little subscribe button. That's it for me today, you guys, so until next time, cheers.